Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes weekly webisodes. I'm Sara Newman, and I'm excited to show you the gorgeous mango set from our friends at 49 and Market. Let's take a look, and I'll start with the 12 by 12 paper pack, which contains 4 double-sided papers plus 2 sheets of laser cut coordinating elements. You can see those background papers down here below, and then up here you've got kind of a sneak preview of those laser cut images. But we can take a quick look through these designs. They are absolutely stunning. Of course, just like 49 and Market is known for beautiful collage imagery, gorgeous florals, always some butterflies here and there. Now all of these sheets are double-sided, and of course with these 12 by 12 sheets, you're also getting some really sweet little borders down here at the bottom as well. Now here you can see some of these laser cut embellishments, beautifully detailed, and these will just pop right out of that backing sheet. So they're quick and easy to put to use. Okay, I'm going to bring this sheet back in, and then we can see, and I've also got another smaller pack of papers, and these are 6 by 6 designs. Now in here you've got 20 sheets, again double-sided, beautiful, more petite patterns. Everything is scaled down, but it's just so beautiful. Now with this set, you're also getting 72 cutout embellishments. So these are perfect not only for card making, but also tag art and so many other projects. All right, now to go along, we also have a pack of 37 mix and match die cut pieces. Now you can see this big package here. I'll flip it over and you can see a bit more easily the elements that are included in here. So lots of labels, faux envelopes, tickets, and more. And what I love about these sets is that you've got a variety of sizes. So you've got some quite large elements here, like this library card and the faux envelope. Then you also have some smaller images, like the tickets and these little labels. All of these work beautifully to create collage backgrounds and focal elements for your projects. So these really, with the variety of sizes and colors, this really makes it quite easy and fun to create some interesting collage work. Now, finally, well, almost finally, we have the Mango Wishing Bubbles Pack, and this has 67 epoxy stickers. Now these are just great fun for adding a special textured accent to your project. So you've got some small elements here and some larger pieces down here. All right, so I said almost finally because I have 2 other items that just go perfectly with the mango set. Now these would work with any of the other 49 and Market collections too, as well as probably lots of the pattern papers you already have in your stash. They have a nice neutral color palette here, so they're super versatile. We've got 2 packs of frames. Now this one here has 6 rectangle stitched frames, and these are actually stitched with real thread, so for real dimension. And the other one has 25 pieces, including 12 chipboard frames, plus some clothespins and ribbon hangers you can see in here. So I'm a big fan of 49 and Market. I don't think I've made a secret of that. So I'm super excited to show you this gorgeous set and a couple of ways you can use these items. We have a lot to play with today. I've got some fun projects to show you and a couple of demos too. I'm really glad you're here today, so come play with us. Let's take a look at how to combine the elements in this collection. Now I have a card that I've covered with a piece of paper from the 6 by 6 paper pack. Now you'll notice here that 6 by 6 paper does not cover my entire card front, which gives me some really nice border space here at the top and at the bottom. And this is going to provide a nice frame and also some contrast. Now another thing that adds some contrast is the shading along the top and the bottom edge. And this is with the Wild Mushroom Prism ink pad. So this is a super easy technique to do. All you do, just pop off that lid and then hold your ink pad slightly at an angle toward your pattern paper. Just run that along the edge. And this is going to give some beautiful color and dimension on your pattern paper. Now because this is a dye-based ink pad, I recommend that you let this dry just a couple of minutes before gluing it onto the front of your card. So I inked top and bottom, glued that down, and then trimmed off the excess around the edges. And then I also did some inking on the sides here too. So again, it's going to create a really nice soft frame on here. And that Wild Mushroom ink pad, perfect for this color combination here. We'll be using it a lot throughout today's webisode. Now there are a lot of ways to combine the various elements in the collection to create a card focal. And I did have a hard time kind of picking and choosing which ones to show you. There's so many to choose from. So in the end, I decided to combine one of the laser cut embellishments from the 12 by 12 set with a chipboard frame, and I've just glued the two of them together. So this is the laser cut, and then this is one of those cool chipboard frames. So as you can see here on the back, I've just glued the flower along the edge of that frame. Now I can just pop this onto the front of my card, and I have a really pretty card focal. But I can also create some additional contrast by placing another element behind the frame. So I grabbed one of the ephemera die cuts, and this is kind of like an old-fashioned newsprint. And so I thought, let's just tuck this underneath. It's the perfect size, and that will again give us a little bit of dimension. Now if you wanted even more lift, you could put some foam tape on the back of the frame before adding it to that vintage newsprint. That's going to give you a little bit of lift as well. Either way is totally fine. Now I've also got some other elements here. I've got the sentiment here that can go down at the bottom. I have a really beautiful little butterfly. We can have him kind of going this way. And here's another little butterfly can fly sort of into the center of the card. Now another nice thing with this flower embellishment is that you also have another flower that can go on top. So you can use this to create a bouquet, or put this up on some foam tape and then just place it right on top of the first flower. And again, that's going to give you a little bit of lift there. Now you can also add in, of course, some of the wishing bubbles and baubles. And I love these because they add just a little tiny touch of texture and dimension. I especially like these little dots. And because this is on a clear plastic liner, you can kind of say, oh, maybe I want a couple of dots going down at the bottom, or maybe I want to put a few up here at the top or along the edge. And just keep them on that plastic liner until you are ready to add them onto your card front. Now from here, I can also add some ribbon, or even, you know what, even some of those 49 and Market rub-ons from the teal and mango rub-on set, which we saw in the teal webisode. So those would go as well. But I'm pretty happy with this as it is. Now, I'm going to slide this off because I do want to show you the card inside, which I have already done. Now here, I've added another inked piece of that 6x6 pattern paper. So again, ink all of those edges, including this edge here, before gluing it in. Trim off the excess and then do a little bit more inking along the side here. Then I've got a doily die cut, and I have a message. And the message looks like it's hanging with this clip from the chipboard frames set. So that clip comes with the chipboard frame that I've used on the front. Now, I'm going to go ahead and glue all of this together later, and then you can see a photo of it in the webisode project gallery. But I think for now it gives you a good idea of how to easily combine these elements all on a card. Now I have another card that I want to show you. I'll move this one out of the way carefully. And this one also shows how nicely all the elements come together. So here I've covered the card front with 12 by 12 pattern paper, and then created a focal with the stitched frame. So not the chipboard, but the stitched frame that's got that thread on there. This is framing a 6x6 piece of pattern paper. I have a little tab here. I love these tabs. And I've got a script dazzle. Now the script dazzle will have the script, of course, and then also these sweet little heart stickers too. And then when I open up the card, you can see I have another stitched frame with a laser cut flower on top. So whereas this frame here is open, so this portion here can be layered on top of something else, this frame here is solid, so I can glue the flowers just right on top. And then I have another lovely sentiment also inked around the outside edges. Quick, easy, and of course, thanks to these beautiful elements, really effortless. This card also uses a frame for the focal, and in this case, I've just used some scissors to snip apart a stitched frame before gluing it onto this notepad die cut. And again, I have one of the laser cut flowers. Those are so beautiful and easy to use. Plus, I've got a butterfly, and then I've got one of those lovely sentiments down here too. Now, when I tilt the card, I think you can see that there's a little bit of sparkle on that background paper. Hopefully, as I'm tilting this, you can see some shine here. Really beautiful, soft, and subtle. Now, if you could touch the card, you would also be able to feel that there is texture on here too. Well, this is the Frosty Sparkle Glitter Kiss. I have to tell you, this has quickly become one of my go-to mediums. Now, we tend to think of this maybe for Christmas cards or winter-themed cards, which is great, but this can be used all year round, even just to enhance some beautiful floral paper. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to move aside my card and bring in a piece of that beautiful 6x6 pattern paper and some black cardstock too, so that we can see this a little bit better. Now, if you've used opal polish from Creative Expressions, then this jar will look familiar. So Glitter Kiss comes in the same packaging as opal polish, but it is a very different medium. So Glitter Kiss is a polished silk glitter in a clear suspension. And what that means is that you get a glittery effect. You can see that sparkle and shine in there, and you can see on my piece of black cardstock, you're going to get the look of glitter without the hassle of dry glitter and without the need for glue. So basically you have a nice shiny iridescent look without having glitter everywhere. So this is water-based and fast drying, and you can just use the sponge that's on the top as your applicator. Okay, so I'm going to take off the lid here and set this to the side, and I'll just dip in my sponge applicator, scrape off any excess, and then let's just take this darker area here of this beautiful paper, and I just apply it as easily as this. And this is going to give me a sparkly, subtle, and shiny effect, and it won't take very long at all to dry. Now, I can appreciate that it's a little bit harder to see on something lighter, so let me grab a piece of dark cardstock, and you can see the application process. Quick and easy to do. Okay, and then all you need to do is just let that dry, and you will be ready to put this to use. So it's a great way to add some subtle shine onto your background paper without having to compete with the background design, and it really just sort of enhances and illuminates this. So because this is fast drying, it's only going to take a couple of minutes, and then you can get to work on the rest of your card. Now, I will also point out that I've got some inking going around the edges here too, and so that's also with the wild mushroom. You can do your inking on top, just of course be sure that that glitter kiss is totally dry before you make that application on there. Okay, so then back to the card. For my card inside, I have one of those large ephemera die cut pieces which I've glued right onto the inside here. Again, a little bit more inking. I have a strip of glitter kissed 6x6 paper. You can again see that sparkle and shine on there. And then I've got another snippet of that stitched frame. I've got the envelope, ephemera, and I have a script dazzle and a couple of little epoxy wishing bubbles and baubles hearts. So this is one way to add some sparkle and shine with the glitter kiss. Now you can also use your distress splatter brush to splatter it onto your card. So let me grab a few supplies and we can take a look at that. This technique will give you larger splatters of glitter kiss. So it's a subtle difference when you're looking at pattern paper, but one that you can definitely see here on my little swatch of black cardstock. So this is the technique I'm about to show you, where we splatter the glitter kiss in comparison to the one that we just looked at, where you're simply applying it with the sponge. So you can see you're getting some larger drops and more dramatic drops of glitter kiss here. So let's take a look at this, and then we can look at the card itself. I'll give you a quick preview of that before I set it safely out of the way of the splattering. Now, a couple of supplies that I needed to get. First of all, I'm working onto my craft mat, and this is going to be important just for general cleanup and also so that you can use it as your palette. I'm also using a palette knife here, and I've got my Distress Splatter brush, which I think you guys have seen me use quite a lot. It looks very well loved, as you can see. Okay, I'm going to get my Glitter Kiss here, and I just take off the top. I'm going to use my palette knife to decant a little bit of this. I don't need too much, just right onto my craft mat. I'm going to kind of spread this out a little bit, and then of course pop the lid back on here. Make sure that that doesn't sit without its lid on. Now I'll bring in a little bit of water. So I've got a nice water mister here. Add some water next to my puddle of Glitter Kiss. And then I'm going to use the palette knife to kind of blend the two together. It's easier to use a palette knife for this rather than the splatter brush. This just blends things really nicely. You need a little bit more water. Just mist in a little bit more. Look at that beautiful sparkle and shine. Okay, now I'm going to take my Distress Splatter brush, and I've got a cup of clean water over here, and I'll just dip that in, get the brush a little bit wet, and pick up some of that medium. Then what I can do is just hold this over my cardstock and splatter. Okay, so you can do as much or as little as you want to. Really cool effect. And again, you're going to get some larger areas of that gorgeous Glitter Kiss. Really pretty. And again, all you need to do is just let this dry and you are good to go. So I'm going to quickly clean this up here. You can see how nice and easy this cleans up from your craft mat. Be sure to also clean off your palette knife. And of course, I've got my Distress Splatter brush in my cup of water just so that that can get nice and clean. Okay, let me bring back in my card here, and then we can take another look at this. So on the front, I've got some large splats here that I can see, and again, just tilt that a little bit. You can see that beautiful shine on there. Now, for the card front, I really didn't do a whole lot here. I really just added a border going along the edge, a couple of butterfly laser cut embellishments. Those are popped up on foam tape, and then also one of the ephemera labels and a dazzle, and then I've got one of the wishing baubles here. I figured with all of that beautiful shine and that gorgeous pattern paper, you really didn't need a whole lot else to go on there. Now, with this jute twine that I've wrapped around the card front, when you open up the card, you may be wondering about the twine showing on the other side. Well, here I've covered up the twine with some 6x6 pattern paper, again, inking the top and the bottom. And I've got ephemera, and I've got die cuts, and I've got dazzles, and I've got some of that faux ribbon on here. And basically whatever I could get my hands on, I was using on the inside of this card. I've got another piece of that beautiful 6x6 paper on the other side, a chipboard frame, and a beautiful laser cut embellishment, and then a little butterfly on here. So these are two ways that you can use that Glitter Kiss, and I think it's just such a perfect companion for these elements. It really enhances the paper without detracting from the beautiful collage flowers and the script on here. Now, one thing our friends at Creative Expressions recommend is that you mist your Glitter Kiss lightly with water. So just take that top off and mist a little bit of water in here when you're done for the day, and that will help to keep that medium nice and fresh. You can also mist the sponge too before you pop that back into the top of the lid, and that will help that to stay nice and fresh as well. Okay, I have one more card to show you, and this one is actually not just a card, but it's something that I would call a card plus. Let's take a look. So this is called a 4-fold folder, and it can be a card, it can be a gift, it can be a combination of the two, and it's super easy to make just a really lovely presentation. So I'm going to open up this top flap and open and open, and open. So you can see it is just a really fun presentation. I've got two little pockets here, and I've got some tags tucked inside here. You could tuck in messages, photos, little sentiments, just about anything you want to. And while I have two pockets, you can have really as many as you want to. So super simple to do, as I mentioned, with a cutting die. So the die that I'm using is right here. And this is the 4-fold folder. And you can see here you've got 3 dies in this package. This is your main piece, and this is your, what I call the addition. And then you've got a pocket. So you'll die cut 1 each of these, and as many of the pockets as you want to. Now, I recommend that you use the 12 by 12 for this. It's just going to make things simpler, but you can use the 6 by 6 for the smaller piece and of course the pocket too. So let's take a look. I'm going to move aside this package, and then we can see this is what the main piece will look like. So you see that rounded flap here. Now, not only are you cutting the piece, you're also scoring where you need to fold. So all of this will be pre-scored for you. I like to use a bone folder just to make sure to get those edges nice and crisp. You'll notice here, you've got a fold here. You've also got some space in between these folds. So there's 2 lines here, which means that you will be able to fold this up to give some depth. And this will accommodate your pockets and any little ephemera items that you have in there. Do be sure, just give that a quick score and make sure that all of those lines are in there really nicely. You can decide which side you want to use as the front and the back. So this is the main piece, and then you have the addition. And the addition is also with these 2 score lines in here. So you'll fold this up. Now, one side is a little bit longer than the other, and that is normal. You can see that edge on here. This longer piece will get secured to this flap. So you'll position these 2 here, and that will help everything kind of roll up and fold up. Now you can decide if you want to have this tab going on the back or on the inside. If you have it on the inside but you don't want that seam to show, guess what? Don't forget, you've got all of these borders from your 12 by 12 set, and you can just glue one on here, and that will hide any seams or the difference between those 2 pieces of paper. So that's my little trick for that. So the other little trick I would keep in mind is to use some of that super sticky tape. That really holds everything together nicely. All right, and then if you want to add pockets, of course you've got your little pockets here too. Again, go ahead and score those up so that you've got your tabs folded in, and then you can decide if you want to have them going like this, or maybe you want them going the long way. So you can decide which way you want to have your pockets going, and either way is of course totally fine. Okay, so you've got some options to go with that, and then once you have everything glued together, you can go ahead and decorate it. So let's take a look at our finished piece here, and you can see on the front I have done a lot of inking again with that wild mushroom. Here's another one of the borders. I just have that going on there. I've got an epoxy piece here. Open this up, and there you can see I've got another border. I've got some of those laser cut embellishments. These are some of the cutouts from the 6 by 6 set. And again, some tickets in here. Unraveling this, we've got more sentiments, some more dazzles, beautiful epoxy piece, and then with my 2 pockets here. Now this is one of the actual die cut pockets. This pocket is actually an ephemera piece that I trimmed down, and then I made it into a pocket using foam tape on this side and this side, just to accommodate my little tag here that I've got my epoxy piece on top, a little bit of that faux ribbon on there, some embellishments. Here I've got another tag message with a dazzle sentiment on there. You can tuck that in, some faux ribbon, a dazzle, some of those little embellishments. Here's my border that's hiding that seam on the inside. And then here we've got some of that faux ribbon that will help to keep the bulk down. sentiment, dazzle, butterfly, more tickets on here. And then when I kind of roll this up, you can see how nicely everything folds up because I do have that space in between. And then this will be the back where I've got that border wrapped around there. So a really fun project to do if you're looking for something that's a little bit in between a card and a gift, some really nice sentiments or photos maybe inside. This is the project for you. And this is our final project for today. So thank you so much to our friends at 49 and Market for yet again another beautiful collection that has been so much fun to work with. And a really big thank you to you for joining me today for Saturday with Sara. I'm always so glad that you're here, and we're just really happy that you're part of the Paper Wishes family. So thank you. Do feel free to leave a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately, and you can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. Be sure to see the money saver on the right side of your screen at paperwishes.com.